Hey, everybody, it's John, your Indian Cine-MANIAC, with another 10ish minute review. Okay, so today's film, we're going to talk about. I just, a couple films ago, I watched Leo, which I really liked. Crazy, crazy action. And doing my research, I heard of another film called Jailer that came out in 2023. So I decided, what the heck, I really like Leo, so let me watch this movie. So that's what I'm reviewing today. Jailer. Now, it was directed by Nelson, and it stars, and I love this because this was in the opening credits, Superstar Rajin. Now, I don't never heard of this guy. I saw him in one film, Ra One, but I did not know who he was. Now, obviously, in doing my research, I understand how big a star this guy is, but I've never seen Superstar in the credit like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Also in it, Mohanial, Shivaraj, Shivarajkum, Shiva. Now he's got a cameo in this film. There's a couple of big cameos, and he says he did this out of respect to Rajin. Jakie Shroff, who was in Sooryavanshi, and Vinayakan, who was in Trance. So this film was the highest first week gross in history in Tamil cinema. So this was a huge, huge film. And right out of the gate, I will tell you, I liked it. I did not like the first hour of this film. I wasn't quite sure what was going on, and I wasn't overly impressed with Superstar Rajin. Okay. Now things definitely changed, and I'll tell you exactly where they changed. So it opens up where in a bad guy's lair, and there's a guy hanging upside down over a barrel. And this guy who plays the bad guy, who's Vinayakan, and I can't remember what his name was. I think a Varman. And this guy was like, I mean, he had these like gold eyes that were all bloodshot, and awful teeth. So he was a great villain. He's asking this guy questions, and he ends up dumping in a bucket and putting in sulfuric acid. So, okay, this guy's bad. That's how it starts. Then it cuts to the entrance of the lead character. And he's introduced by his grandson, who is trying to make a YouTube video, because in the world we live in today, everything is about social media. So the grandfather, the jailer, is going to help him with this video. So you meet him, you meet his son, who is in the police, an honest police officer. And that's kind of how it starts. Well, at some point, the son gets kidnapped. Oh, okay. So, okay, spoilers. All right. This is going to be a spoiler film review. So if you haven't seen it, you don't want to, I'm not going to be picky and choosy about what I spoil and what I don't. Okay. So if you haven't seen it, don't watch this. If you have seen it, then watch the rest of it. All right, give you 5 seconds. Ready? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, spoilers. So the son is kidnapped, and it's presumed he's dead. So now the jailer wants to find out what's going on. So, and okay, he wears these big, thick black glasses, and he's got a big mane of hair with gray beard, pretty unassuming, and he smiles a lot. And the thing about this movie, it's very tongue in cheek, very funny, very violent, but kind of almost cartoony violence, but it was violent. And then about halfway through, it becomes a heist film. But in the beginning, you're looking at this grandfather, and he's kind of like kind of goofy, not goofy, but just smiling all the time. And when he talks to people, he smiles and he's very pleasant. But they do infer a couple of times that in pursuit of who kidnapped slash killed his son, he kills a couple of people, but you never see this. It's all done off camera. Um, so you're like, so when I saw that, I'm like, well, that's kind of weird that this guy's supposed to be badass like Leo, right? Leo badass. And they're not showing anything. So I was like, that's kind of strange. And that was like almost the first hour. So I was like, I don't know about this. Maybe this was a mistake, right? Well, then They do this scene, and this is where it turned for me. All right. So he assumes his son is dead, and he feels very guilty about it because he feels like because he wanted his son to be an honest cop, that's what got him killed. So now the hit is on for this guy because he's been asking questions, he's been pursuing it. So he's in a bar drinking and he's drunk, and two guys are in there, two guys that have been hired to kill him. So he walks out of the bar and he's like, he's kind of stumbling out of it. And the guys are behind him, mouthing off, talking about how they're going to kill him and kill the kid, kill his wife, his daughter-in-law, his grandson. And he's still kind of like he's got the eyes half closed. He goes to his car. He stops, and then one guy says something, gets real close to him and says something that all of a sudden the guy's eyes, the jailer's eyes, get like focused, right? And he pulls this knife. This I don't even know if it's a knife. It's a big long blade, and he just goes, and you see it from the back of the guy, and he cuts his head right off, and he's just standing there, and the blood is squirting off the top, and the jailer's just sitting there, kind of smiling. Now the guy in the background is like freaking out. What'd you do? What'd you do? Now he goes after that guy, and he pulls a knife on him, and he's smiling, and he's asking him questions, and he puts the knife up to his neck, and he goes, boom, kills him. That's when you won me over with this, okay? Because that was like I couldn't believe it. It was so cool and so funny. Um, so now he knows that they're going to go after his family. So there's this whole scene where he goes to a hospital. He's talking to a doctor, and he convinces the doctor to let the people stay in the house. I'm sorry, his wife, his daughter-in-law, and his grandson stay in the hospital to protect them, so the bad guys won't find him. And he does it by blackmailing the doctor. But the whole time he's blackmailing the doctor, he's smiling, which is funny because at one point they show this therapy group and the doctor promotes smilotherapy. Those scenes were really funny. Okay. Now he's going to get this team together to help go after the bad guy and get, revenge for his son. And that's when the big cameos happen. And they're not just like short cameos. They're big cameos, rival gang members, right? And then it becomes John Wick. The bad guy doesn't realize who he's dealing with. Well, then you find out who this guy really is. He's a jailer. Now, the one thing I will say, and I'll ask, you can answer me in the comment section. He was like the commandant at a prison, and he was a badass commandant, right? But why does that make him like this super mysterious fighter and, like a John Wick character, like a Leo character? Why did working at that prison do that? Is there something else in the background that I don't know about? Um, that was the only thing that puzzled me. I love his character, but but they show that whole flashback and they show what kind of man he really is. And that's when the other guys are telling the bad guy, look, you don't know who you're dealing with. We don't want to get involved with this. You're on your own because you're messing with the wrong guy. So now there's this scene, and this was to me the best scene in the film, even though from and again, how realistic do we want to get? He sits his wife and daughter-in-law down at a kitchen table, and he says, now don't get up, stay seated. I want to explain to you what's happening. And he starts talking. Now, like 15 guys show up at the house to kill them. And as they're rushing the house, and he's talking to the mother and daughter, smiling, not being overly aggressive, very calm, snipers start taking each guy out. It's fantastic. One at a time. So one guy gets close, and this is when he comes out and he kills the guy right in front of him, and blood's gushing all over the place, gets on the daughter and the mother, the wife, and he pulls out a box of origami tissues and says, wipe your face. And they're sitting there wiping their face. I thought that scene was scary and hilarious at the same time. So, this guy's a planner, right? And then now he finds out because he's going to go after the bad guy and he's going to kill him. And he's got his whole gang behind him. That's when he finds out his son isn't dead, that he was kidnapped. And now the bad guy's going to use that as leverage. No, he's looking for a crown, an antique crown. And they want them to steal the crown. So now it becomes a heist movie to save the son. Okay? So how are we going to do this? You know, it's an intricate plot, but, you know, blah, 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 blah. They get the crown. Well, there's a scene where there's an ambush and it's in a desert. And it's really well done. And all his guys, you know, he's got all these tough guys. They're all snipers and stuff, but they're getting sniped. He got shot and it's back and forth. And there's a lot of death. And the reason, okay, so now it ends up that that's staged. Now you don't know that when it's happening. It seems real. And the reason they did this was the bad guy had two of his guys with the jailer to make sure he didn't pull anything. Once this scene happened, the two guys left. Now you find out it was all a scam. So he was planning way ahead. Okay. So now the bad guy gets the crown. Now you find out the son, the honest cop, was in on it and he's crooked. And he has this big scene where he's talking to the bad guy, admitting it all. Now they show the jailer. There's a camera in the jewel of the crown, and he's recording the whole thing. And what was interesting, and this is what I love about this character, as this is happening, he starts laughing at what he's seeing. Now, the big climax, this is when the true jailer comes out and they go in and they're killing all the bad guys. And he does this thing. Now, I didn't know this was a thing for the actor, but he flips a cigar into his mouth. It was really cool the way he did it. Well, apparently that's a thing that this actor does, okay? I guess it's like Shahrukh with the arms up in the air. And he ends up sticking that guy in a vat of sulfuric acid. But the scene that was really powerful was at the end. He's talking to his son, who he knows is a bad guy. And he says to him, look, if you turn yourself in, do the right thing, then we'll let everything go. And that's when he goes, I can't do that. And, you know, you're the only one who knows about this. And he pulls out a gun and the jailer's just sitting there, not reacting, not responding. Then his glasses were a big, important part of this film. So the guy pulls out the gun and points it at him. And the jailer just goes, and sniper, 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots. And now the jailer gets up and walks away. So I thought that was great. I mean, how, you know, as far as everyone, the mother, the daughter-in-law, and the grandson, they don't know he's alive. So nothing changes as far as that go. But he knows he had his son killed because his son was dishonest and bad. So I like this. I'm going to give it 4 Ladoos. And I got to tell you something. The first hour, I did not like the film. Once he cut that guy's head off, I don't know who this actor is. I'd like to see him in something else because I really liked his characterization in this. It was different than Leo, right? He was just kind of, I don't know. There was a little more tongue in cheek to this, even though it was very violent. But I really liked it. And this was again, this was Tamil. Yeah, it was Tamil. So I'd like to see this guy in something else. But if you haven't seen this, check it out. If you like Leo, I think you'll like this. Very different, I thought. So I don't know what I'm going to watch next, but you know, that's part of the game here, right? What is he going to watch next? But know this, I am going to watch something else because you know why? You take the time to subscribe. You take the time to hit the notification button. You smash that like button almost every time. And that means something to me. So therefore, I'm going to keep pumping these out. Okay? All right, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, check out Jailer. If you haven't seen Leo, check out Leo too. They're very, very similar. So check it out, and we'll see you next time with the next